Hey, Michael.
Hi, Jamie.
How are you doing?
Dying. How are you?
I'm also dying.
We're both dying.
We're dying.
But we're here.
But we're here. We made it.
I mean, we figure if you're doing a podcast about ghosts, dying is no excuse not to show up for work.
Not to show up. That's right.
We both just have like an upper respiratory thing going on.
Yeah, it started last week, and then we went to Colorado Springs, which was awesome. We had a great time.
But I think the altitude just wore my immune system out.
It did.
So it just kind of, when I came back, I got a little worse.
Yes. We had a traumatic flight. Well, it might have been a little more traumatic for me than for you.
It was traumatic for you. It was a little frightening in moments for me.
It was. You were so strong, though. I didn't know, which is good because I almost had a panic attack.
I did too.
You were so.
I'm not a terribly nervous flyer, but I am when the plane, like the one we were on, is fucking held together with duct tape, Velcro, and happy thoughts.
It was made of old Tupperware as well, like old Tupperware, duct tape, and happy thoughts.
It was
but
like
they were not happy.
Right as we rolled away from the gate, the pilot comes on. He's like, "Oh, something about like, I have to make sure we have to clear the weight capacity with air traffic control to make sure we can take off of the runway. They put us a different runway because of it." And I thought he was joking at first.
Right? It's like, is he calling us fat?
I think he was just saying, "Yeah, this plane is." I think we were on the last flight that plane will ever make.
I hope so. Michael and I were in the exit row.
Seats 13. Row 13.
And
I should have known.
We should have known. But you were technically in a row in front of me.
But it was one of those goddamn seats I get because it's supposed to be a window seat, but you get on and it's like, oh, they've moved all the seats to make more room, and so like only every other row actually has a fucking window.
And it was supposed to be an exit row, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so there was no one sitting next to me, so you came back and sat next to me in row 13. And there's a like plastic, like
it's like a little shield or latch something that's like
that goes over the handle to open the door, and the directions apparently were to take the door off and then throw it out the plane.
Yes.
That was the directions.
That's according to the illustrations on the safety card.
You throw it out.
You throw the latch and you take the door off and you just
throw it out of the plane.
Toss it out the plane.
Yes. So we were ready if we were needed. But the
plane was ready too.
The plane was ready. That flap fell down during takeoff and was held together with fucking Velcro, like sticky Velcro,
and
that you stick to one side. Like 3M would have been, the 3M double-sided tape would have been stronger than this shit. And it just kept falling.
This was basically painter's tape.
Yeah.
And it was awful. It would fall down and she'd be like, do, and I would look at Jamie and start cracking up, and I would just calmly place it back up there, and then the tape would, fail again. And I was like, I wonder what else on this plane is held together with this tape that isn't working too good.
And
as we were taxiing, remember all the thudding and all the cracking and the popping? I'm like, what the fuck?
We rattled. We rattled like a plane is not supposed to rattle.
Yeah.
And
we rattled like an instrument.
Yes. And okay, so taking off out of Denver or Colorado Springs is supposed to be, it's not supposed to be, but it is often bumpy anyway because of the mountains and the wind and yada yada.
Yeah, there's more turbulence.
Vegas has a tendency to be that way too. So that's fine. However, when we're taking off and the plane is shaking everyone, and then you do the turn, where you go the other direction, and during the turn, you're like dropping and then going up and dropping.
Oh my God.
It was horrible. It was like so bad.
It was like riding the Texas Giant at Six Flags.
Yeah, but
the wooden roller coaster.
The wooden one.
Yeah.
Except not as much whiplash.
Yeah.
Because
and we landed. The pilot came in for this landing, and at the last minute, he kind of jerked to one side, and so when he landed, it was like, I thought, are we gonna fucking roll? We're gonna roll.
I thought. Okay, so we now. To set up this scene, please keep in mind that I had already been very, very congested. I still am, in case you can't tell. Very congested, and as we're landing, this has happened to me multiple times. My eardrum burst on the flight, and Michael was very strong throughout it, and being my support system.
I'm very strong when it's someone else's eardrum.
Yeah, I'm grateful for it. Yeah, that had already happened, so at least my head didn't feel like it was about to explode anymore, but I was still in pain. And we land on one of our back wheels, and it bounces a couple of times on that wheel, then straightens up, and we bounce a couple of times on the 2 wheels, and then the first wheel slams down, and I think that's the point where he's like, oh, I should probably start braking, because he hadn't slowed down until this point. At this point,
in case he had to go back up, he's like, oh, maybe this isn't the right time to land. Like, it was fucking, and Jamie, I wish you could have seen the look on your face.
I was pouting.
I have this weird thing. Yeah, you just pouted, and you like sunk down in the seat. I don't want to die like this. It was angry.
I was very upset.
And I was cackling, because that's what I do when I'm in danger. I cackle like I'm enjoying myself. And I'm not really enjoying myself at all. It's just instead of screaming, I laugh.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me.
And I just, I sank down into the seat is what I did.
Yes.
And pouted. And then when we stopped so short, I slid out from underneath my seatbelt. It was awful. It was horrible. Oh my gosh.
Someone was judging from a couple episodes ago. I'm going to say that someone was definitely murdered on that plane. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, only half of it's been refurbished.
Right.
That was the most terrifying flight I've been on in a while.
It was awful.
At least a decade. Which should tell you, for those of you that are afraid of flying, don't worry. In 10 years, Jamie and I both have probably been on more planes than there are movies with planes in them.
Right.
So the fact that there's only been like one bad flight, we still got out without it. We didn't technically crash.
No.
Just felt like we were going to.
Rough, though.
It was rough.
I'm surprised.
Plane. It was like that plane was like a tree house that someone had. It was like the Gump from Return to Oz. It was like the flying creature they make out of just like a moose head and some couches.
I'm surprised more people didn't freak out.
I think
but everybody was quietly freaking out.
That's what happens on a plane, though. People don't start losing their shit. It's not like a movie. People just get really quiet.
That's
I've been
on
planes where shit like that happens, and people just get really quiet and start going, well, I don't want to be the first person to freak out, because if I freak out, then the person next to me will freak out, and then I'll freak out more, and it'll just become a big old giant amplified feedback loop, and we'll all die.
Yeah.
So people just go quiet.
Well, and we had a couple of other colleagues on the plane too, and afterwards they were talking about that they were in the same state as we were. Mm-hmm. So, but I never would have known. You seemed so together.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
You were great. Always, if you're
something you should know about me. I'm actually terrified most of the time. This is just my brave face.
I know. You gave me your arm to grab a hold of, and I clenched it with a death grip.
You had a strong grip.
I did. It's what saved us. Our friendship. High five. That's what saved us. Yay. So anyway, we're alive. We're here.
Our bonds are stronger than Velcro.
That's right. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God!
I took a picture of the flap when it came, because it almost like the end of the movie as we pulled into the gate, which they had to get some maintenance to come out and roll the fucking not tarmac. What's the word I'm looking for?
The jet bridge.
The jet bridge. Thank you. They had to manually roll it to us because it wasn't working either. And do you remember when we came out on a different flight, different plane, different terminal?
Yes.
Same fucking thing happened. They had the jet bridge wasn't working, and I'm like,
I still have a theory that when we took off from Colorado, the jet bridge was still attached. It was attached the entire flight. And that's why we had such a hard time. Ding! Look, I can't be held accountable for this shit today. I am on a lot of medication.
I don't feel like it'd be an episode if we didn't get interrupted by the computer dinging at least once.
Okay, so...
Yeah, that was our terrifying experience.
Yay.
Now let's talk about something less terrifying, your ghost stories.
That's right. You guys are still sending them, so thank you.
Do you want me to start us off?
You start. You have two, I have one, but mine's long.
Okay, good. This is from Theo. Theo writes, for 3 years of my life, from college into graduate school, I rented a cramped 1.5-story house off campus with 4 friends. Good choice, because I volunteered to be house mom, managing the chores and dealing with our emotionally volatile landlord. My little dog and I got the prized attic bedroom all to ourselves. Fair. The house was built in the 1920s, and like many houses of its age, the attic door had a vent built in to help air circulate. My roommate's cat wasn't allowed in my room, so he'd sit at the closed door and drag his claws down the slats in the metal vent to protest. Ping, ping-a-ping, ping, ping. Imagine that sound happening every 2 minutes while you're trying to write your senior thesis. One winter break, I was the only person in the house who didn't go to their family for Christmas. Instead, I spent the day curled up on the couch with my little dog, binge-watching movies. We went to bed long after midnight. Just as I was settling into sleep, I heard the cat's claws on the vent in my bedroom door. Ping, ping-a-ping, ping, ping.
Ping, ping-a-ping, ping,
ping, ping, ping, ping, ping. Is it ping, ping, a ping, ping, ping? Yeah, I'm doing the right number.
I think that's right.
I'm trying to read it as written. It's important. I tried to ignore it, but it didn't stop. So I yelled the cat's name and told him to stop. That usually worked, but this time, as soon as I went quiet, the sound came back. Ping, 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 ping. Next to me, my dog started to growl. He rarely growled, except when he decided someone was threatening me. I figured he was just tired of the cat's shit. I'm serious, knock it off, I yelled. The sound became more insistent. Ping, ping, a ping, 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 ping. All cats. Suddenly, I was afraid, which felt silly because it was just my roommate's cat being a jerk. To prove to myself that there was nothing to be afraid of, I got out of bed and marched to the top of the stairs. My dog, who followed me everywhere, just sat in the bed and kept growling. Staring down at the door, I yelled, "Stop it!" I'd barely gotten the words out when the sound exploded. Ping, 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 ping.
Ping, 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 ping.
It thundered up the stairwell, louder than I'd ever heard it, freezing me in place.
Yikes. I mean, you're in the attic. That's kind of your fault.
Like it. It's like you have so much to go through if you want to leave. I panicked and threw a shoe at the door. It hit with a thwack, and the sound of the claws on the vent stopped. I sprinted back to my bed and dove under the covers next to my dog, who had stopped growling but was still staring in the direction of the stairwell. He eventually settled into sleep, and so did I. The next morning, I called my roommate, who owned the cat. She asked how my holiday was going, and I said, "Pretty good, except your cat is driving me insane." She laughed and said, "What do you mean? I brought him home with me." No! Dun, dun, dun! That's great. After a moment of stunned silence, I told her about the sounds from the night before. She helpfully pointed out that our house had held 90 years' worth of families, and the vent on my door was at the perfect height for a child to reach. You know what?
No!
You're not helping, friend. I still had a few days alone in that place before my roommates got home, but the sounds didn't happen again. Oh, that's good.
Yikes.
That's good. Oh, now I'm thinking of, I've been in several houses in my time, lived in several houses in my time that had those vents on the doors.
Yeah.
Oh, and now I'm just thinking of like, that's a good description of the sound.
Yeah. If I start hearing that sound in my house, I am not going to be happy with you, Theo.
You just text me and start going, "It's here again. What do I do?" And I'll be like,
"It's ping-a-ping-pinging."
It's ping-a-ping-pinging. Oh.
If it's a ghost cat, I better not be allergic. Because I'm allergic to real cats, living cats. So is
Brandon.
So is Jack. So is Dot. Dot is very allergic to cats.
Dot is allergic to air.
She is. Cats and trees.
Cats and trees.
Those are the main things that my dog is allergic to. She is ridiculous. Okay,
right.
So my next story.
Nice
it's long. I've been looking forward to it.
Oh, excellent.
It's from Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hello, Michael and Jamie.
Oh, that's nice of her to say.
I know.
It's like she's listening.
That's true. As alluded to on Twitter, the two of you inspired a haunt venture. Oh, yes, I'm that cheesy. I fucking love it. Haunt venture.
I love that, too.
To the Crescent in Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Ooh, yes.
Not long after your Hysteria episode on the hotel, I began plotting with my older sister, Emily, on how to make a trip there happen. Fast forward to July 19th, and it did.
Oh, goodness, this was recent.
Yeah, she tweeted about it. I was like, fucking tell me everything.
Oh, my God. Okay.
My sisters, Emily and Sarah, and my sister from another mister, Mary, and I drove down from the Chicago area. It was a little over 9 hours driving at the ass crack of dawn, but we had coffee, excitement, and the magic of podcasts and a collection of Stephen King's short stories to keep us busy. Rest assured, I commandeered the radio to play the Ghoul Intentions episode. I had a mood to set and a duty to inform Sarah and Mary what they were getting into. Emily watched one of the ghost hunter shows that covered the hotel in preparation for this trip, so she was well aware of Norman G. Baker and his douchebag-filled deceit. Since we were going here hoping to find something spooky, we booked Theodora's room. Michael's was already rented, unfortunately. For those who don't remember, those are both of some of the haunted rooms. Michael's rooms, there's two of them, and it's where he was one of the ones who constructed it, and he fell through.
I remember that.
Through the ceiling. I'm just leaving all the coughs in so you guys know how much we love you.
It's good for effect.
That's right. Once there, we schemed how to get Theodora's attention. We left clothes and shoes strewn about. I untucked the bed. Mary had the brilliant idea of leaving some ibuprofen laying out of the bottle, stating that's one of the things that piss off a nurse most. Mary's a nurse, so I took her word for it.
That's clever.
Yeah, it's good. We also figured out the sleeping situation before venturing into Eureka Springs, which was Sarah and Emily in the living room area, Emily on a sad excuse for a blow-up mattress, and Sarah on a rollaway bed. And Mary and I on the king-size bed in the adjoining room. I had the fortune of getting the side next to Theodora's picture. Yay, me. We, of course, did a ghost tour on our first night there. Highly recommended. It's always a really good time, the ghost tour is. Snapping photos as we went. The icebox was hella creepy. Extra creeptastic when the guide turned the lights off and we stood in darkness for a bit. That's where they stored the bodies.
Right.
Yeah. Ooh. It's downstairs.
And on like the ghost hunting shows, there's one episode where like the guy actually goes into it and like sleeps or like lays in it or something.
Something like that.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, you're braver than I am.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Sorry, didn't mean to derail.
No, it's all right. I am on a lot of medication, so...
Me too.
Let's do in the dark in the icebox. Okay, after the tour, Emily and I were amped to do our own amateur ghost hunting. Mary and Sarah retired to the room, utter lame sauce, but to each their own. While Emily and I ran around hoping to capture something, the others went to bed. Emily, I can say words. It's fine. I'm fine. Emily and I went to the banquet hall.
You don't get to decide when I'm drunk.
That's right. We're not drinking Moscow Mules. We're drinking Moscow Dayquil. Emily and I went to the banquet hall, ran around the grounds outside, quietly visited the door to Michael's room, and visited the hall where the gurney wheels are heard in the wee hours of the night. I chugged a soda before we went on our adventure, one of my many mistakes I made on this haunt venture, thinking we were aiming to stay awake until 2 or 3 a.m. for the creaky wheels. Turns out I was wrong, and we retired by 12:40 a.m. Important side note, I sleep on my side. I can't fall asleep otherwise, and I've trained myself to sleep on my right side so I can hear my alarm as I'm deaf in my right ear. Keep that tidbit in mind. I'm currently deaf in my left ear, so I totally get that. An hour later, I woke with my heart racing and soaked with sweat. I didn't have a nightmare that I can remember or hear anything to startle me awake either. At first, I didn't want to open my eyes. I was facing Theodora's portrait, and I was terrified that if I did open them, I'd see her right there in front of me. I couldn't really shake that feeling for an uncomfortable amount of time. Eventually, I mustered enough bravery to peek at the clock before promptly squeezing my eyes back shut, willing myself to sleep. But my will was lacking, apparently, as my heart kept doing a race I didn't sign up for. So, I was left with two immediate choices. Keep facing the portrait that was creeping me the fuck out, or turn on my left side. I hate sleeping on my left side. The only thing I hear when I'm on my left side is my heartbeat, which that night meant the rapid fire pounding, and only that if I turned over.
This fucking struggle is real.
It's real.
I relate to this.
Yes. I tried my left side, but listening to it skyrocketed my anxiety higher.
God, it's like, shit, what do you do?
I know. After battling between... Hold on, I'm going to do it too. Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're going to make it. After battling between which side was a better option, while it felt like my panic was only increasing, I reached the conclusion that it was time to be a dick and turned on the TV. Sorry, Mare Bear. And mute it. Having that light, if nothing else, was a partial comfort. Mary woke up and mothered me a bit too. Eventually, my lids grew too heavy to stay open, and I fell back to sleep. While enjoying the lovely breakfast buffet the next morning, Mary shared about a peculiar incident from the night before. She heard the distinct sound of the bedside table's drawer handle swinging and hitting the hitting the metal back plate.
Oh.
More than once.
Oh.
Sarah was long asleep by then and heard nothing. Emily and I were intrigued, to say the least. I'm gonna have a little sip. So long.
Just so you get through it. Just the good part. You gotta.
Yeah. Okay. No other incidents occurred the next day or night as we were there, and we left at too early a clock for how little sleep we got on Sunday. Did I experience something? Maybe. Or perhaps it was all the caffeine-fueled anxiety that got the better of me. I won't definitively know. We had a video camera we planned to set up both nights there to capture any spooktastic happenings. I even sworn I charged it the whole damn drive. Apparently, I'm not tech literate and managed to plug the charge cord into the mic. In my defense, it fit.
That's just bad design.
It is. So we didn't have it the first night. I tried erroneously to charge it again in the same way, thinking maybe it was something to do with the car. After phoning in the friend I borrowed it from with some serious fear I'd broken the damn thing, I learned my embarrassing error and managed to have it ready for night 2. I so wish I'd had it the first night, though. And it seems Theodora was on to us and never cleaned up any of our messes. We also never happened upon her fumbling with her keys. We waited the second night at 10:30 for the woman you can see fall or jump from the 4th floor to the gardens, but sadly no apparitions appeared. We also actively attempted to debunk anything we came across, like with photos. For example, on multiple occasions, the ceiling lights in the hallway bounced off the camera in weird ways to make it almost look like ghostly footprints. But when we angled the phones back and forth, we could recreate the image easily. We couldn't recreate the bedside drawer handle, though, even with Mary jumping next to it. There was something. That's something. There's one.
That is something.
I know. There's one photo so far that I've looked through. I took over 200 of them. That has given me pause. There appears.
She has pause now?
She has pause.
Oh, pause. Like to stop moving for a second.
Yeah.
When people say it gives me pause, I think, you have pause
She has pause
like
now.
Like puppy pause?
She's turned into a puppy.
I've turned into a dad that's apparently just spouting lame-ass jokes.
It's all right.
I knew what that meant.
There's a lot of medication in our systems, and that's okay.
Not
Everybody will forgive us. So she's got pause, puppy pause.
She's got puppy pause.
There appears to be something faint and white in the image, but the following image, it is gone. The timestamp shows there being a minute between the first taken at 9:35, the second at 9:36, but it doesn't break down the seconds to accurately reflect how quickly the photos were taken. I can't honestly remember if it was snapped right away. I was pretty snap happy, though, so I'm going to assume it was taken shortly thereafter. It does look to be a step closer or zoomed in a bit. It could be a living person running by, an animal, who knows, but it is something. I'll get these photos to you in whatever way works best to send them to our email. We're still working through reviewing the video from the second night and a brief amount we got on the second day. It's about 7 hours of footage and all to review, so it'll take some time. If we find anything, I'll be sure to report. You better. Regardless, nice. It was an amazing place to visit, and I highly recommend it for anyone who can. I want to go back someday with the whole family. If we do, we'll be flying to the nearest airport and renting a damn car. Fuck the shit out of driving that many hours with a toddler who doesn't sleep in cars. I want to go during a less traveled time, too. There are a butt ton of people there that weekend, with at least one wedding and an alarming number of teenagers lurking about. I wonder if it was too noisy for the ghostly residents at the Crescent to really get their spook on. P.S. When I shared my panic moment with my mom, she said maybe something did happen, I just couldn't see it. P.P.S. I apparently never told my mom about the red-eyed people on the couch in the Oak Creek house, and she only learned of it after listening to the podcast. She apologized to me.
Aww.
Yay.
Bringing families together.
That's right. And so, thank you for that story.
Ghost hunt
I know.
with you, Jamie.
A haunt venture.
A haunt venture.
I love it. And then we'll make T-shirts that say, I went on a haunt venture and all I got was a stupid shirt. And a demon.
That was good. And a demon. That's great. That can be on the back. I went on a haunt venture and all I got was the stupid T-shirt, and a demon.
Yeah, I like it. That's good. Oh my gosh, yeah. If you can go.
That was great.
And also Eureka Springs is just a really cute little town. It's fun. And there's another ghost tour that you can do in town, and it'll talk about like some of the other crazy shit that happens. Like there was a bank robbery and somebody was killed right in front of the bank or something, and the bullet hole is still in there. Like you can still see it in the brick. Ooh. So they didn't they didn't fill it and try to shave it down unsuccessfully. Which did you do that at your last hotel? Did you check at this last hotel?
Yes, I did. I thoroughly, and everything was fine.
I cannot see any carpet that's been cut out of anything.
We were in the airport and you saw that patch of carpet. Dead body. I'm like, I doubt. It's probably a leak, but...
Right. It actually seems like there were probably posts because it was at the same position multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I see
it was an omen of how the plane was going to be, because that plane was just a patchwork quilt of old planes.
It sure was. Tupperware. Old Tupperware.
Old Tupperware.
Yeah.
Like the kind of like avocado green 70s Tupperware.
Yes.
Not that the see-through, but the thicker kind.
The thicker kind. It also came in like a tannish, like a dark cream.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the color of the plane was this dark cream.
Oh my God.
Ugh. That's the real scary story is the flight. Everything else is nice. I like the stories.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So this one comes from Gabby.
Time out for coughing.
Oh, God damn it.
All right.
Oh, man, I'm a fucking oyster farm today.
Explain what that means.
It means I'm making a lot of little mucus babies. Mm-hmm. Gabby says...
Pearls.
No pearls. Not yet. I feel like there's bound to be some pearls in my lungs right now.
I mean, it feels that way.
Maybe I can sell them on the open market.
Do it.
Gabby says, hi, my name is Gabby, and I have 2 stories to share from my younger days. I have many more to tell about the house I'm currently living in, but these 2 are the ones that stick out with me the most today.
Okay, really quickly. I just want to say, Gabby's story was originally read in our first take of episode 28.
Right.
But then we redid it, and as far as we both can remember, we did not read this. The second time. So we're reading it again because we don't think in our current state that we read it on the one that we saved. Because we had to do episode 28 twice.
Right.
And so the first time that got lost, it was read. The second time, we don't think it was.
Yeah, because we decided to trim... Well, because we were going to... Yeah, I don't remember.
So...
If you've heard this story before...
Just get ready to hear it again.
Yeah. Compare it to the first time we read it and see what you think.
And lucky you, Gabby. You get on twice.
It's a command performance.
That's right.
The first occurred, she says, when I was a child, between the ages of 4 and 11. The story is much creepier in retrospect because while it was happening, I wasn't even aware there was any creepiness to it. Growing up, I lived in an apartment with just my mom. I'm an only child, so my form of entertainment was my light bright. Oh, I remember those. And our 2 cats until I met Susie. Classic cliche was that she was my imaginary friend. I had a large window in my room, and we would always look out the window together and play games. One I distinctly remember was guessing which cars would be parked outside, how many would be parked there, etc. I never thought this was weird until we moved. Looking back, I realized Susie never left the apartment. She was only present in my room and never followed me anywhere. I never actually saw her, but I could always feel her presence. This happened over 10 years ago, and I still think about it a lot. My second story starts directly after the move into our new house. I was an excited 11-year-old who was ready for middle school. It was a few weeks after we moved in, and I was laying in my bed with my back to my door. I remember it being around 11:30 at night when I felt like something was watching me. My door was halfway open, but my mom was asleep, so I knew it couldn't be her. In that moment, I decided to be a very brave preteen, which meant I said, "Who the hell are you?" to whoever or whatever was behind me. The next second, I felt a very distinct poke in the middle of my back, in the middle of the back of my neck. It felt like a chill went down my entire spine, and I had goosebumps up and down my arms.
It sounds like a chill did go down your entire spine.
Yeah, like literally. I was absolutely terrified after that, and I hated our house for a while. I still live in the same house, and because of this, I also never sleep with my door open anymore. It's way too creepy for me. I've had a lot more occurrences in the house we're currently living in, including one that spanned about 4 years, but thankfully, everything malicious has mostly died down. We sage the house regularly and do whatever we can to keep the spirits at a minimum. Ooh, I want to hear more, Gabby. I want to hear more. Ooh.
That is good.
Man, it's the imaginary friend stuff, that really gets to me.
Well, and that she remembers. Yeah. Because most people don't, remember when they have an imaginary friend like that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And cool.
So cool.
Thank you, Gabby, for sharing. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your stories. And for listening. We're going to go...
Despite the fact that we sound like, I don't know...
Yeah. However we sound. I know we sound in our heads worse than we actually sound.
I like to think I sound very sexy like this, but I in reality I probably sound like the fucking ghost from The Grudge.
No, you sound like you.
Really?
Yeah, like you don't even
sound like this. How do I get work?
It just doesn't. It's not as noticeable because that's how it is when you're in your head. Like
that's true. Literally in my head.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll listen to this later and be like, "Oh, damn, I'm sexy.
I had to do
I'm gonna do everything I can to stay sick."
I know. I had to do a couple of sessions where it was like, "Yeah, I could totally mute my voice. That's fine. That's fine. We'll see how.
I love your voice like this now too. It's just
thank you.
You've got like there's a whole upper range missing, but it's like the bottom's dropped out, and you're like.
Well, that's what I had to do. I had to call the directors and be like, "Do you want me to do something high? Because I can't. I'm out. Marky out." But anyway, so hopefully next time we will be feeling better and our voices will be a little more back to normal. But hopefully. But thank you guys for listening and putting up with us. And remember, it's okay to sleep with the lights on.
Especially if you're drugged out on medicine.
Yes. Oh, whoops. I should mute that.
Catchy tune.
I know, you wrote that. I don't know if you knew that. All right, hold on. Let me mute that. And now we can talk in here and make sure that we're... Oh, wait, I don't know. Doodle-doo-doo-doot. That's good. Let's see how that cough comes out.